All right, everybody, we are back once again for a match for Dark Age Cup. I believe this is still the round of 32, but I could be wrong. We have in the blue Marcel Pignol. I believe he's a French player. We've casted him before, uh, and I butchered his name before, so I'm just going to keep calling him Marcel. And in the orange, we have Flame. So this is going to be the first game on Arabia. So we're starting with Flame as Goths and Marcel as Franks. So it should be an interesting matchup. I guess you see Franks pretty decently often on Arabia, but we'll have to see how it goes for Flame as Goths. Just taking a quick look at the map before we begin. It's a pretty standard Arabia map. We've got some sheep over here. More sheep over here. Boars nice and close together. That'll be nice for Marcel. Whereas we have a little bit more spread out for Flame, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. We also see that Flame has just a little bit more defensible resources. He's got this back gold. His stone and gold are at least less forward than Marcel's are. So that'll hopefully be pretty good for Flame. The only thing is his map is not super wallable. I suppose he can get some walls up here. He won't need to wall that. Maybe some walls here or even out to here if he's going to be a little bit greedy. But he's going to have to either wall out to here or... Yeah, that's probably going to be Flame's best bet here is just a wall between these two trees. But that's going to be a unfortunately tricky wall for him. Meanwhile, over here for Marcel, we have a forward gold and forward stone, which isn't particularly helpful. And just as much of a bad map to wall, I think, as Flame had. Maybe a little bit better with some tree lines a little bit more close together. But I don't think we've got an advantage for either one in terms of maps. In terms of resources, I'd say maybe Marcel has a slight disadvantage with this all being a little bit forward. But he does have his main gold and his stone and side gold over here. They're pretty decently defensible, especially if he throws a wall up right here. So I don't think the map is going to be any real difficulty for either of them. I suppose we'll see. Flame is probably very likely going to go for some sort of militia or men-at-arms rush, given that he has the cheaper infantry units being Goths. And then he'll likely try to get up to Imperial Age as quickly as possible, given that, you know, well, Goths. If you get Goths to Imperial Age and you let them build up their forces, that's not going to go too super well for you. Pretty normal starts. I'm just going to speed it up just a little bit until we get to something a little bit more interesting than 6 on food. I do like this TC position. It's nicely placed right inside this little nook in the tree line. That's going to be a little bit more efficient than, let's see, how's Flame doing it? It's going to be a little bit more efficient than this. Not too much more. There aren't any super great positions that he could have put that lumber camp that are close to his base. So I'll give him that one, but their lumber camps are going to be slightly different in efficiency, though not by much. I don't know if this was a misclick here, taking 2 sheep at once. I imagine his villagers just kind of acted on their own, as they are sometimes wont to do. But that's already somewhat of a small mistake by Marcel. And we're seeing 4 on wood here for for Flame, and we're seeing 3 on wood for our flanks player. For our Franks player. That's not really a surprise. I'm guessing we're going to see a scout rush. We see a pretty decent boar pull. I would have liked to see that boar be a little bit more under the TC, but it is what it is. Flame better be careful here. I don't like that boar pull either. I think he could have probably got that at least underneath this little ledge here. He might just take out Marcel's scout as well. Nope, not quite, but that did do some major damage to Marcel's scout, and it looks like Fl4me might even be sending his scout back to deal with that. As far as scouting goes, let's see what they each have. So Marcel has scouted out the opponent's base, but not much else, whereas Fl4me has really only scouted his own base. He hasn't even seen the enemy base yet, but he's absolutely looking to finish off that scout. Unfortunately, Marcel's scout has just slipped right by him. So now his scout's back in his own territory, not really doing much. See, this is a much, much better boar pull. This was a much better boar pull on Fl4me's part, rather than this, whatever this was. He is going very heavily into food, and I don't see any on berries yet, which is interesting. Whereas you see a little bit more of a traditional thing for Marcel, though he is taking, it looks like he's taking several sheep, maybe? I don't know if this is just an error, and these are actually taking this sheep. This sheep appears to be rotting away pretty quickly. Oh man, Marcel, your poor villagers. Oh, they're killing everything. Your poor sheep. They're just killing everything. All right, we're seeing Fl4me getting some villagers on berries now. Maybe it's just he accidentally killed an extra sheep and just wanted to take it in real quick. I imagine we're going to see archers from him given the start he's had so far. We're at 17 to 18 villagers. That's not bad at all. Got some nice house walls here. I like that. It's already started a little bit of walling. Not too much, but enough so that he won't have to cover this entire side over here. We see Fl4me getting housed momentarily, enough so that Marcel can catch up in villagers. But I am concerned about this. Marcel is just taking like so many different animals all at once. Oh no! Oh Marcel, you got to pay attention to that, buddy. You got to pay attention to that. Use some waypoints. All right, now we're getting 6 on wood. Maybe not the most necessary for a scout build. Fl4me idling quite a bit over here, but Fl4me is walling up pretty nicely. I wonder if he'll have scouted. Let's see if he's scouted that. He's not scouted that, so he might wall this just to be safe. But this tree does protect him on this side. Oh, and Fl4me is going full wall. Again, I would have preferred to see Fl4me just wall between here and here. Because this wall, I think it protects him the same amount, but he would have been better off going for the slightly more greedy wall and taking this. We see both players going up to feudal age, which is good, though I don't see... Okay, so here's a barracks for Fl4me. That's good, given that he's Goth players. I honestly would have expected to see it a little bit earlier for him. And we're seeing a barracks up for Marcel as well, though he's got to be careful, because that's going to be a hole right there. That is a hole. So Marcel really needs to be careful to either wall that up or... Oh, he's sending his villager, but his villager's missing it. So I wonder if we'll see many walls from Marcel at all. We are seeing some walling here. We're seeing a second lumber camp here. This is also a hole that Marcel's got to be careful of. And our Goths player is almost full walled. Let's see. Fl4me does not have militiamen queued up, so we're not going to likely see a man-at-arms rush unless he's taking his time about it. And we're going to see... That's interesting. So we're seeing the Goths player build a stable. Okay. I guess. Marcel is going to wall this up, but again, he's missing this hole right here. And this hole right here. Alright, our Goth player is more or less fully walled. He's got no holes that I can see anyway. Yeah, he did just wall this to be careful, but if he'd scouted out a little bit more, that tree is protecting him. And we're seeing scouts. We are going to see scouts from our Goths player. Just like we're going to see scouts from our Franks player. So that's interesting. I'll give it that. We saw 2 different upgrades coming for each player. We got double bit axe for Marcel and horse collar for Fl4me. So that's again, everyone's got their choices. I guess we'll have to see how it turns out for them in the end. We've got 7 on berries here. That maybe not the best decision here. I'd maybe suggest either farms or maybe sending some to gold. Especially if Marcel is planning on doing knights. Marcel's scout rush here is not going to do all that much, given that that F4me has completed his walls, and F4me is just going for as many farms as he can. Though it looks like he might have, yeah, he sent a bunch of his woodworkers over to make farms. So this is just going to take a while. But we are starting to see the scouts from F4me, and they're going to take on the scouts from Marcel. But we've already got a weak scout from Marcel, and he loses one, and now F4me has lost all of his scouts. He's going to try to run away, but that's not going to do anything. We also see a little bit of a scout war down here by Marcel's gate, and Marcel has noticed and walled off his little hole here. And I don't think that, no, okay, that's not a hole. So we're good. Oh, no, we're not. We are not good. Marcel, that's a hole, buddy, I think, right? I can't tell. That might be a hole. That could be a hole. I don't think so. We've got trees on either side, but he's got to be very careful not to overcut that. So we've got scouts roaming around Marcel's base, or F4me's base. F4me does have some scouts still. He does have a spearman. We see a spearman from Marcel as well. This is fairly even so far. The scout rush is not going to do anything. This scout isn't going to do anything. A single villager can just walk over and wall before that single scout gets in. We're seeing a little bit of a conflict here, but again, not enough that it really matters. We've got 2 weak scouts for F4me. He can probably doink this one scout from Marcel, but F4me's got to be very careful or he loses all of his military. And he's got to be careful because he's housed again. Alright, we've got F4me's spearman went over to try to deal with that scout, and it didn't work out too much for him. Still fairly even on vills. We've got two spearmen coming in for Marcel. That's going to pretty much stop the advance of Marcel's scout rush here. And yeah, we're not going to see, I don't think, too much extra in terms of exciting action happening until probably the Castle Age. We see a lot of farms here for F4me. Roughly equivalent number for Marcel. Both appear to be prepping for Castle Age as best they can. We have no one on gold for F4me. It looks like he's just starting to build his mining camp eventually. But that is going to put him in Castle Age a little bit behind Marcel, who has six on gold right now. So that is going to work in Marcel's advantage. Let's see Marcel's point of view. So Marcel is close. He's close to Castle Age. He spent a little bit of gold to get his armor for his horses, very necessary as Franks. But again, these scouts, you know, he's not going to do all that much with these scouts. F4me, on the other hand, is actually also getting fairly close to Castle Age. Now that he has some guys working on gold. I think it'll be, yep, Marcel's going up a little bit before F4me, and that could make the difference with knights. Maybe not the best idea to attack right there. And again, these scouts aren't going to do anything. They're not going to break in. They're not going to do anything. He's going to house wall pretty quickly behind this. I don't know where the spearmen went. There are spearmen. We've got 6 spearmen. That'll clean up these scouts, no problem. And F4me is now able to go up to Castle Age. He's got almost 200 gold. Fairly soon he should be able to go up. The question is, does he have his buildings? Does he have a blacksmith somewhere? Okay, he is going to Castle Age. So he must have a blacksmith or a market. Yeah, okay, he's got a market in the back of his base. Alright. So, we see some scouts being cleaned up. That's no big deal. We got 2 scouts left. That was probably not the fight that Marcel wanted to take there. But we are going to see Marcel reaching Castle Age much, much quicker than F4me is going to. Probably by about a minute and a half. I don't see a second stable for F4me yet, but he might want to get on that. Marcel has plenty of wood. He can easily make the second stable, and then he's going to produce knights. Marcel should just produce knights. F4me, on the other hand, is going to try to attack with his spearmen. I don't know if this is just a stem the tide of night or stem the tide of scouts, or if he's actually going to attempt to attack with his spearmen. But we should see some night production, and we do. We see some night production coming out of Marcel, and we see the spearmen retreating a little bit. 6 spearmen should be able to take on one knight at a time. So if he actually left them right outside of the stables, that wouldn't be too bad for him. I think we're about to see the second stable popping up. Yep, second stable is coming up now. As Fl4me continues to go towards Castle Age. We're seeing a second barracks from Fl4me now. But again, no infantry. Okay, we're seeing pikemen coming in for Fl4me, as well as wheelbarrows, some infantry upgrades, and we're seeing the cavalry upgrades from Marcel. So this is very much going to be an infantry versus cavalry fight. And the interesting thing is we've got 2 TCs from Marcel versus the 3 TCs for Fl4me. Unless I'm mistaken, there's another TC popping up somewhere, which I do not think there is. So we're seeing a 2 TC boom versus a 3 TC boom. It appears we're also seeing a castle. All right, we're seeing the first defensive castle. And we are seeing some knights being taken on. The pikemen at this point are too strong. These knights are not going to be able to take that fight. There's only 4 knights, and there's 10 pikemen. That's not going to be enough. So at this point, it might be best for Marcel to just conserve his knights as best as possible. Because these 4 knights aren't going to do anything. They could potentially break in here, but they'll have to do it fast. Because there are plenty of pikemen hanging around. I would honestly expect to see a little bit more of the militia line coming from the Goths player. It's a little bit weird that we haven't seen it yet. And it looks like we're going to see some throwing axemen from Marcel, presumably to deal with the pikemen. They are a Frank special, so we will see some throwing axemen here. Other than that, it seems like the knights did in fact get inside the Goth economy, but they're not going to do all that much. I'd say that that as long as Fl4me is paying attention, yep, we've got some pikemen coming in, or some, pikemen coming in, and they're probably going to clean up these knights pretty easily. We're seeing more pikemen. We're seeing plenty of pikemen. If you look at the military, we've got 13 versus 11. The 11 are knights, presumably, but I don't know where they are. Maybe they're garrisoned up. Let's check over on Marcel. Marcel, yep, he has 5 throwing axemen, kind of just holed up in his castle. He did not lose the knights, but he is out of Marcel's economy, or Fl4me's economy. Fl4me is house walling behind this hole, and now he's going to potentially lose his gate. Nope, he's going to try to house wall behind his gate, and these pikemen are just going to clean up the knights. These knights are not going to do anything. They're dead. These knights are very dead. Again, we're seeing the throwing axemen start to come forward. I imagine maybe a siege workshop for Marcel. I don't think he's going to try to drop another castle. He doesn't have the stone for it. But it could be that he's just waiting. He does have several villagers carrying stone. So that could be helpful. Oh, and he is going to castle drop. Maybe not where I would necessarily put the castle. I would say probably put it here to take Fl4me off of stone, but that's, hey, to each his own. The castle production is going to be protected by throwing axemen and knights, and a single scout. But I'm starting to get worried that Marcel is not being aggressive enough, because we see the military numbers creeping up very, very slowly for the Goths player. It's now 21-16. Fl4me is not going to chance going up against the throwing axemen. Or maybe he just doesn't notice the castle going up. But they're both still getting upgrades, and our Goths player is just booming. He's just booming. Look at that. He's got a 10 villager lead. It's not... this castle goes up for Marcel, but what does Fl4me care? Then we see the forward siege workshop. That's what we've been expecting. We're seeing a defensive castle, or somewhat defensive castle from Fl4me here. Again, I don't know if I entirely agree with this castle placement. If he was going to go for defense, I would say maybe put it like over here, somewhere to like actually protect his gold and stone over here, or even just a little bit closer over here to protect his stone. The knights are about to get in, and this could cause some major problems for Flame. The knights are in. The knights are going to get quickly killed off by the pikemen because they're not being defended by the axe throwers. So at this point, really, I think it's anybody's game. These axe throwers are supposed to be protecting the cavalry, but they're not doing anything. They're just kind of wandering around. Their whole point was to defend against the pikemen, but they didn't. They didn't save the cavalry. And now more pikemen are chilling out here. And again, we see our Goths player just continuing to boom, and there we go. There's the imp that we were waiting for. Flame is going up to imp now. We're seeing some. We're gonna see some rams coming in for Marcel. So I think the real question is now, who is going to have their shit faster? We've got the Goths player with their multitudes of military going to Imperial, and we will soon have Marcel going up to Imperial as well. But the question is, will it be too late to stop the Goth spam? I don't think Flame has enough barracks. He's starting to make more, but he really needs to hurry up in this production of these barracks. Let's see, Flame, it looks, oh wow, okay, that's a lot of houses, that's a lot of barracks. So we are preparing to see the Goth spam here. Again, we still aren't seeing the militia line. We're seeing some upgrades to the militia line, but we're not specifically seeing militia line. These rams will be taken care of pretty quickly by the pikemen. And we're going to see a couple of losses in pikemen from the throwing axemen, but Flame just needs to really retreat here. That's the best he can do, is retreat from the throwing axemen and try to get them under one of his TCs, maybe his castle. But again, all of this isn't going to matter if Marcel can't break through his defensive line. And we've got 3 barracks up for the Goths, almost in Imperial Age. This could be it, folks. If we start seeing a major Goth spam from Flame, we're already starting to see the golden food ticking up. He does probably need a few more on gold. And maybe deleting this house or deleting this barracks and setting up a castle right here would probably be in Flame's best interest. We're starting to see a little bit of a counter boom from Marcel, but Flame is already ahead. Flame has just reached Imperial Age, and I imagine now we're going to start seeing a Goth spam. Any second now. Any second now, Flame. Okay, we're seeing Perfusion, which, if any of you don't know, Perfusion is a castle tech. His barracks units are created 100% faster. That is absolutely necessary, especially if you're going to go for either Huskarl or anything else. Especially if he's already gotten Anarchy, which I don't believe he must have. He must have gotten Anarchy sooner or later, which will allow him to make Huskarls out of his barracks. He's probably waiting on Perfusion to start making his spam. But I suppose we will see. Marcel is now in the Imperial, and he's broken through a little bit into the defensive line, but he's losing his axemen very quickly here, and I don't know that he's doing enough damage to really make it worth it. And now we're seeing the Goth spam, but we're seeing it with pikemen instead of Huskarls. An interesting choice, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, just queued up right now, we have 55, 67 pikemen being queued up, and no end in sight. And now we're seeing, are these militiamen? That's got to be a misclick for militiamen. But again, it doesn't matter. There's just so many units. There's just so many Goth units that I don't think it'll matter. Even with archers, he's choosing to fight under a TC here. Marcel, you need to back up. You need to back up, buddy. All right, we're seeing Anarchy, I believe, coming in now after the trebuchets. But look at that. The throwing axemen might have a small advantage, but not against this many Goths. This is the castle that I would have wanted Marcel to originally take. And this is doing all the work right here that this castle could have been doing from the beginning. We're seeing militia line, again, probably a misclick. We're probably looking at some hotkey misclicks. But the question is, will the Goth spam does Marcel, or does Flame, have the economy to keep up his Goth spam? He's got plenty of idle villagers, and Marcel is catching up to him in villagers. But we see double the military costs from Flame. They're just the wrong type of military. We're going to see him begin to try to take down these take down these trebuchets, and maybe take down a couple of castles as well. And now we're seeing the Huskarls. The Huskarls are what we've wanted to see this entire time. That's really the bread and butter of the Goths. It's just spamming Huskarls out of your barracks. These trebuchets are going to go down fairly easily. We're seeing men-at-arms line research. We're seeing upgrades for our various infantry units. And now we're seeing the Goth spam beginning to clean up the throwing axemen. And this might be it, folks. This might be it. We're seeing some knights try to come in, but there's so many pikemen. There's so many pikemen at this point. The knights are going to be able to take out some trebs. But honestly, the infantry are just going to take down this castle. They're going to take out this pikes. This is the danger of letting a Goths player get into Imperial Age, because we just see an endless flood of units that has all of a sudden stopped. Marcel doesn't have the economy behind it. He's producing more. Okay, now he's starting to produce more Huskarls, but he's running out of resources. He needs to take down this castle. This castle is really damaging. It's very low health. His infantry units could finish it off, but he's instead attempting, it looks like, to invade Marcel's base. Marcel's putting up a second defensive castle, but all it takes is going through this overchopped hole. Oh, look at all of these. Look at that. We've got 62 military for the Goths player versus 6 for Marcel. Marcel has nowhere near the amount of military he needs to clear this up. Nowhere near it. And we're seeing some more trebs out of our Goths player. That's all right. He needs more units. He needs much more units. But presumably he's going to take down this castle. He's going to try to take down this castle. We don't see murder holes from Marcel. Oh my. Okay. It looks like Fl4me has decided not to just straight up attack. Fl4me perhaps waiting until he has more resources. He's going for halbs. But his... I don't know. I don't know if it'll work. We're seeing two-handed swordsman research for Marcel. So he's going to try to fight infantry with infantry, but I don't know that that's the best idea. I don't know that Franks should be focusing on infantry when your opponent is Goths. We're going to see elite throwing axemen. That's probably your best bet at this point versus Fl4me. But Fl4me is just going to attack buildings. He wants to get rid of this castle, I suppose, probably to get back on gold. But he might just be wasting too much time. He needs to get his Huskarls over there and attacking the castle as well. His halbs can defend his 2 trebuchets here. And that's what we're going to see. These Huskarls are just going to absolutely wreck this castle. But he really needs to start producing more. We're not seeing the Goth player produce any military, despite having plenty of resources to do so with. It looks like he's just sacrificing his men-at-arms because he doesn't need them anymore. Or militia, my apologies. And now that that's been cleaned up on his side, I think we're going to see the Goth spam come into full effect. We're seeing more Huskarls be made. We're seeing some men-at-arms be made. I wish he would research. Okay, we are seeing longswordsmen, perhaps even eventually champions. This small army from Marcel is going to go in, but this is the entirety of Marcel's army versus the entirety of the Goth army underneath a castle. That is not going to end well for Marcel. And at this point, I think we're going to see that Fl4me's best bet is honestly just to go straight into... okay, now we're seeing the real Goth spam. Look at this, ladies and gents. Look at this spam coming out of the barracks for Marcel. Remember, these barracks produce 100% faster. I assume he's also gotten conscription. Goths get conscription, yes. Goths do get conscription. So at this point, his unit... Fl4me's units produce so much faster. He doesn't even need to be efficient here. He can just keep sending units to this small army, and it's not going to do anything. We actually see his army numbers falling a little bit, but this is going to get cleaned up fairly quickly. And this is where the main fight is, taking down Marcel's castles. The trebs have been destroyed, but honestly, the infantry can probably just finish it. We're seeing a continuous spam out of Fl4me, and just there isn't enough to deal with that coming from Marcel. We're seeing champions from Marcel, which is good, but it's not enough to keep his castles up. It's not enough to really keep anything up. There's just so much Goth spam, and they're fighting under 2 castles, and there's still more and more of them just coming in. We're gonna see champion soon from Fl4me. Very, very soon. Yep, champion's coming in, but he's not. Both players are being perhaps a little too timid. Maybe waiting for that fresh 200 pop to really start attacking each other. Marcel is down at 115 pop. They're both sitting at roughly 90s for villagers, so that's not looking too unequal. But right now we're just seeing a stalling. We've upgraded our Goth troops about as much as we can. Honestly, now it's just all about production. It's all about production and how fast we can produce. I would have liked to see about 20 more villagers on either side. That probably would have made a huge amount of difference for either player. But again, we're just seeing massive Goth spamming. And we're going to see Marcel's castles just start to go down one by one. He doesn't have the military to take out the trebuchets, and frankly, once these castles are gone, the Goth spam is just going to steamroll right over Marcel. Unless he does something very drastic to change it, I think this is going to be very likely a GG within the next 10-15 minutes or so. This game has gone on a lot longer than I expected, and I think it's just because both players have been playing a little bit more carefully than I would have expected, especially out of a Goths player. So we are seeing plenty of action here. We're seeing a continuous spam of Goths from Fl4me, and just we don't see the same production coming from Marcel. Marcel just doesn't have the economy to keep up as much as Fl4me does. And we're starting to see villagers are dipping. He's losing villagers. We've got 63 to 96 now. The Goths have taken out the castles. There's no more major defense from Marcel. And we see the GG being called. I mean, that's really all it had to be. Is the Goths just got enough barracks, and they got up to Imperial Age, started creating Huskarls, started creating pikemen, and unfortunately, Franks are a cavalry civilization, and against that many pikemen and that many halbs, I guess Marcel probably just didn't feel comfortable enough making knights. Which, I mean, fair enough to him. That's not exactly the greatest combo. It's not exactly the greatest combo that you can hope for coming from an Arabia matchup. So, we will give me just a second, and I will go and check out the next game. Before we do, actually, I'm just going to go over stats real quick, which is actually fairly more balanced than you would expect. Obviously, we're seeing a bit of a military win for Fl4me, and obviously economy as well. But Marcel had many more researches, and honestly, it was the economy that did it for Fl4me in the end, as it always is. We're looking at a little bit more food, roughly the same amount of wood, more stone actually for Marcel, and we saw that from the different the 6 castles that he had up, and roughly the same gold. So actually, that's not as big a gap as I would have expected. Roughly similar times across the board for all ages, and roughly the same villager height. I mean, this could have gone either way, but I think Marcel just waited too long. He just waited too long. So, going to break real quick and going to set up game 2. I just don't want you guys seeing what this next one is. Just so you don't have any spoilers. So this map, Marcel's home map, is going to be on 4 lakes. And we're going to see Marcel, we're going to see Fl4me here in the orange as Malay, and we're going to see Marcel as Italians. I don't know that I like the Italians choice. I think that Italians are maybe a bit more suited for a full water map, like maybe islands or migrations. So I'm going to just take a look and show you guys the bonuses here. So we have, for Italians, advancing to the next age costs 15% less. That's always nice. Dock techs cost -50. Again, it's okay. Fishing ships cost -15. That's fine. It's not the worst for 4 lakes, but I would think you typically want something with a little bit of a water bonus and more military bonus, because you do want the fishing ships. You do want the ability to have fishing ships. But overall, this is a majority land map. So you don't necessarily need to win water until later in the game where you invade your opponent's lakes. Malay aren't a bad choice either, especially if you want to do maybe like a fast imp. So advancing to the next age is going to be 66% faster. Fish traps cost less, and they're unlimited, which is great for this sort of map, because you don't want all of your fishing ships to go to waste. And you're going to see battle elephants are a little bit cheaper. Karambits are, I don't want to say worthless, but they're not that great. And the dock line of sight is whatever, even though it's team bonus. So we're going to get this started, and I'm going to talk about the maps a little bit. We're seeing some Ford gold for Fl4me, and some much more defensible gold for Marcel. We've got a little bit of Ford stone for Marcel, but ultimately this isn't the worst map. We're going to see both of them having a hard time walling here. We've got quite a bit of distance between here and there, and quite a bit of distance here, and no real huge tree lines that they can spend to easily wall themselves. I expect to see maybe walls here. They could pull a Fl4me. They could try to pull a Fl4me and wall across the entirety of the central map. I'm excited to see what happens here, and I hope Marcel is a little bit better with taking his sheep this time. I hope we don't see him just taking 15 different sheep all at once. Again, I wish he would push his sheep a little bit closer underneath the town center here. This is always going to be more efficient than taking it outside of your TC, because your villagers don't have to walk anywhere. We're going to see Marcel. I like that lumber camp. And I like this lumber camp as well. All right. We see some sheep scouting for Fl4me. We do not see such for Marcel. And I don't know if Marcel just kind of lets his villagers do what they want and just take whatever sheep is available. I don't know. I'd have to ask him, frankly. So Marcel, if you ever view this, I want to know, do you use like waypoints for your sheep? Do you just kind of let the kind of ignore the food and let the villagers just grab whatever sheep is closest to them? Yeah. I'm not trying to be insulting. I just legitimately want to know, is like, are these choices to put the sheep where you're putting them, or are you managing your sheep actively? Because that could make a little bit of difference in your time for Dark Age. Okay, so we're gonna see 4 on wood in both camps. That's good. Pretty soon, I imagine we'll see a boar lure from one or the other. This villager, I don't really know what he's doing. And again, Marcel loses a bunch of his scouts' health to the enemy TC. That is not necessarily the best way to do that. He does avoid losing his scout, but it does cost him a little bit. Fl4me with some idle time on his sheep. I don't know if I would have moved your sheep all the way over there for that, but it is what it is. And we've not seen a boar pull yet from Mr. Fl4me. We have seen a boar pull here for Marcel. Again, not the best positioning of the boar. You want the boar to be in this like kind of sandy looking area underneath your TC. And it looks like he might have tried to pull this boar in as well, but this boar just doesn't want to hear it. We're seeing some idle time from Fl4me. I'm kind of curious where his idle time is. He's only got 10 villagers. And again, see, this is much more of the kind of position you want from your boar pulls. But most importantly, we're seeing Fl4me over here is going to be docking this lake and creating fishing ships. So the strategy on this map, what you really need to watch out for on this map is you need to fish. Fortunately, we also see Marcel doing so as well, perhaps a little bit late, but you really need to fish both of your lakes on this map. By feudal age, you want to have both docks, both lakes docked, And preferably by the time you hit Castle Age, you want to actually be taking the fight to your opponent's lakes. So if you manage to take your opponent's lakes, that pretty much cuts them off from all of their food economy. All you have to do is drop a little dock in the corner and make 2 or 3 fire ships and take out all of their fishing on one lake. Even if you get destroyed and you get kicked off that lake, you've permanently destroyed at least half of their food economy. Because on this map, you do not want to be going for farms. There's no point in going for farms on this map. It's worthless. Don't do it.
Swasti.
Just don't do it. We're seeing plenty on wood, which is what you want to see from Marcel. Plenty on wood for F4me. I'd like to see a little bit more walling, maybe. But we are seeing a barracks going up as F4me continues towards feudal. But again, I'd like to see just a little bit more walling, maybe. I understand that both don't have a particularly good map to wall, but I'd still like to see it all the same. At least the attempt. Okay, so we're gonna see Martel go for 2 archery ranges in feudal age, and we're gonna see 1 archery range. It looks like from Marcel. Sorry, I meant F4me is going for the 2 archery ranges. So we are assumedly going to see a little bit of feudal aggression in this game. We're seeing. Okay, that has to. Okay, that. I don't agree with necessarily the galley choice. I understand that maybe he wants to have a galley over here to protect his lake. But for the food it would have taken for, or the wood it would have taken for that galley, and the time that he could have been building fishing ships, honestly, he could have just walled right here, and that would have been fine. We do see a second dock for Marcel. So Marcel has clearly played this map before. He knows what he's doing. He's made the intentional choice to be Italians. And presumably he's going to be creating fishing ships, but he's not. He's creating archers. So as much as I like that he's creating archers and trying to go for some sort of feudal aggression, I really think at this point he just needs to be creating fishing ships. And creating fishing ships from both docks. Also, fun fact, go for the deep fish. Deep fish are better to go for than shorefish. Shorefish can be taken later. You want 8 to 10 fishing ships on each lake, if you can manage it. Yep, so F4me wants to just patrol this side with the galley. That's going to prevent any unfortunate mishaps. Oh, and okay, so maybe F4me has played this map a little bit too. He's going for the sneaky dock on Marcel's lake. Are we going to see... Oh, and we might even be seeing a sneaky dock for Marcel. But the difference is, though, Marcel isn't going to have to fight for anything. Marcel is sending his villager across, but there's no need. This dock hasn't been fished. It doesn't look like it's planning to be fished either. We're seeing, this is too few fishing ships. If I see farms, okay, I don't see any farms. I'm seeing some farms from Marcel. I don't like that. There's no need to farm. No need at all to farm on this map. Fishing ships. That's all you need is fishing ships. Ultimately, that's going to be what you need. And Marcel seems to understand that he needs to dock at least 3 lakes. But I'm not sure that he understands just how much he needs fishing ships. He's also going for kind of like the all-around military strategy. Like, he's got some pikemen. He's got some archers. He's making some scouts now. He's just kind of going for everything. And it's not necessarily what you want to be doing in this kind of situation. We're seeing maybe some walls for Marcel. I don't really know what he's trying to do here, except maybe like cut himself off from his own resources. This stone is less accessible now. Yeah, I mean this military isn't going to do anything. We've got some skirms and archers. This is a much more focused approach to a military. And I think we're going to start seeing Castle Age for F4me fairly soon. Or maybe not. F4me does not have the food nor the gold to go up to Feudal Age. But he has cleaned up Marcel's army, and that's really all that matters. This wall is ineffective. Obviously, there's a hole here. And this... Oh, that's kind of a fuck you, doc. That's not even a... that's not even a trying to be sneaky, doc, by doing it in this corner. This is a fuck you. I'm going to take your own dock spot. Which, fairly funny. We're seeing some fire galleys coming. F4me might be overdoing it a little bit. But we're seeing some fire galleys coming from F4me. He's going to fight, presumably, Marcel off this lake. And Marcel's got most of his fishing economy on this side. That's not going to be good. Too many on berries. Too many on berries. These can be on gold or wood. Preferably wood. You've got too few on wood. And you don't need that many on stone yet. You're not even in Castle Age. And we're going to see the Feudal Age. We're going to see Marcel being kicked off his wood line. All of this is rangeable. He might, yep, he's going to make a backwood on this. And funnily enough, I had a similar situation playing in my round of Dark Age Cup with Math Striker, and Math Striker just towered my wood lines. And if Marcel, or if F4me is smart, he's going to try to tower the wood lines here. This little army isn't going to stand up to F4me's full feudal aggression. He's got spears in here. No, he doesn't have spears in there, but it doesn't matter because there's too many units. Or maybe not. Maybe the skirms will do it. I don't know. This is looking more and more like a fight that Marcel should actually take. Yeah, the scouts are down, but there's enough skirmishers to fight off the archers. Both are on their way up to Castle Age, but Marcel is going to reach it significantly faster. But look at that. Look at that. There's no more fishing economy on Marcel. Yeah, Marcel has 4 fishing ships here, but he lost all of his fishing ships on this top lake. Look at that. That's no hope. There's no hope there. That was a huge blow to Marcel, and Marcel doesn't have any more food economy. He's got 2 here. He's got a couple of fishing ships here. He's got a fire galley preventing Marcel from making a dock out here. But we only see a few fishing ships from Marcel here, and if... Ooh, this is going to be tricky. This is definitely going to be tricky. So F4me is now in Castle Age as well. Marcel getting crossbow, and we're going to see some battle elephants from F4me. I don't know. I don't know, guys. This could be it. We're seeing some crossbowmen, but mainly skirms. We're not looking at elite skirms yet, I don't believe. Yep, just normal skirms. Meanwhile, F4me has started producing battle elephants, and he's got a ton of crossbows. They're not going to do much against the skirms here, but the battle elephants will absorb a lot of that damage. Okay, we're seeing pikemen out of Marcel, probably for the elephants, and we're seeing farms. Marcel, just more fishing ships on. You've got 2 lakes still. More fishing ships, buddy. Okay, I think we're gonna try to see a sneaky dock maybe over on this lake. We definitely have already seen one on this lake, which I guess that's where this wounded villager is gonna go. And if he manages to take out Marcel's fishing on this lake, I can't see how Marcel will come back. This might be a big win for Mr. Oh, okay. We don't see a conversion on the elephant. That's too bad. And the elephants are just going to take the damage from the crossbowmen. They're going to destroy these crossbows. I don't know what Marcel can do. What can Marcel possibly do against all of these elephants and all of these crossbowmen? His villagers on gold are going to start dying. What is going on? Oh, the elephants are being wasted over here. Oh, they're gonna die. The elephants are gonna die. Oh, those poor elephants, man. Those poor elephants. Okay, Marcel had a massive army, but it looks like he just kind of threw it. He went for too much aggression too fast. Too much aggression too fast, and now he doesn't have the resources. He's gonna make archers, and he's gonna make fishing ships. Oh, no, you don't want to be making fishing ships here. You need to take out your opponent's fish. You need fire galleys, like you have over here. I do agree with you making fishing ships over here. And this is plenty of fishing ships for what remains on this lake. This lake is almost tapped. I honestly don't know what Marcel can do against this. What can Marcel do against... no, F4me! F4me, you've already got so much fishing economy. You don't need to waste your wood on this many farms. You've got so much fish economy. You're Malay. Make fish traps. Make a bunch of fish traps right here. Just make a second dock right here. You have so much fishing economy. So much fishing economy. And you're Malay. You don't need farms. That's just more shit that Marcel can raid. And the raid he will. And raid he will. Oh. Okay, Marcel loses his monks. But he takes out... Oh, he takes out Flame's entire military. Oh no. And Marcel losing by a significant amount in terms of villager, but he makes it his doubt castle. And we've got villagers from Marcel making a castle here on the hill. We see some Genoese crossbowmen. Oh no. Oh, Flame, you played this so well. You've got 3 out of 4 lakes. You're fishing so much. You even got the score lead. But the military, they're even going to prevent this second castle from going up. And now, oh, now Marcel has beaten you to Imperial. He's going to get arbs. He's going to get arbs, and he's going to keep making Genoese crossbowmen. And he's presented 2 castles now, 2 separate castles. The monks are going to heal him. We're not seeing elephant production from Flame. We're only seeing crossbowmen, and we're seeing arbs, but it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter. There's already too many crossbowmen from Marcel, and we're seeing the villager count has evened out now, and the military is 40-7. We see trebuchets. Oh, Flame, what happened? You had this. You absolutely had this. You had all the lakes. There's so little fishing economy of Marcel's left. Marcel has 5 farms. He's just given up on producing food altogether. Okay, he's got some more farms over here. Never mind, but still. Oh, man. And we see the GG called from Flame. Oh, that's devastating. Flame almost had that. He played the lakes, but he didn't play the land. And unfortunately, that's what we're going to see happen on a lot of 4 Lakes games. I'm guilty of it as well. But it just didn't work out for Flame on this particular time. That's truly saddening for Flame. And it's just a clean sweep across the map. Marcel clearly practiced. Italians, not as bad a pick as I might have imagined. Still not the pick that I would make. I would personally have to choose either Persians or Japanese in this particular case. But to each his own. Malay would have been a great choice, except there was just no military. There was no land military behind taking all the lakes. And, I mean, it wasn't necessarily too much of a sweep in any particular category except society. And that was mainly because of castles, it looks like. You know, in terms of times, again, we're seeing 2 fairly even times and even fairly even population throughout. It's just, in that particular instance, I think we had Marcel doing better there. All right, we're going into game 3 of Flame versus Marcel. And this one is going to be on Islands. Oh, we're going to see an Islands game, and we're going to see it being Flame as Byzantines and Marcel as Portuguese. So let's load that up and get into it. Oh boy. Oh, we're in for an interesting time if this is an Islands game. Especially because of the way these islands decided to spawn. Look at this map. I don't know what this map is. I'm not going to go too much into their individual gold and stone placements because it is islands. We're actually going to speed it up a little bit because this is going to be essentially an arena game where they're just going to go up and up and up. But I will talk about these islands real quick. So these islands are absolute dog shit. So we've got the island with 2 golds and a relic in the middle. We've got an island with a little bit of stone in the middle. That's fine. But we've got such a small channel between these 2 islands over on this side. That's easy docking potential. And then we see all of the deep fish are on the left-hand side of the map. Everything else is just, you know, either snappers or shorefish. So this is not going to make for great fishing on either side. We've got a little bit of deep fish in the middle, but this is going to be absolute shit for fishing unless they, you know, really scout out the map, because all of the deep fish really are out out on the left-hand side, and they're going to clean up what's in this little center portion very, very quickly. I would hope to see some front docking as well. Just in general on islands maps, you really want to be aggressive with your docking. So if I had to say, oh man, this is just shit for docking. This is a decent dock. Maybe another one here. This is also a decent dock for what he has, and maybe you want to do another one here, Marcel. Ideally, you'd scout it out and realize you can put a dock here. Now, another problem Marcel is going to have is his island is a lot more long, which means he's going to have to cover a lot more ground to prevent Fl4me here from just transporting over and creating a little mini base on his island. Whereas Fl4me has a little bit more of a compact island. He can put an outpost here, he can put an outpost here, an outpost here, and he'll be fine. Marcel's got a lot more ground to cover. And this is game 3. I don't know who wins this. I'm sure people can look in the Discord and find out if they really want to. But I don't think there's really any need to. We're about to see this happening. We're seeing some gold. We're seeing all the sheep being taken on Fl4me's side. Maybe grabbing these ostriches might not be the worst idea for Fl4me. We are 10 minutes in. We're going up to feudal on both sides. Fairly even on both sides. We're seeing 2 docks from both. Fishing ship production on both sides. This is good. This is genuinely a decent start for an islands game. Double bid axe is exactly what you want to see coming in. I'm a little bit sad that I don't see Marcel doing it. And now they're producing their fire ships. So the fire ships are going to really make a difference, especially with their islands being so close. Whoever starts getting their fishing ships out faster, which in this case is Fl4me, is going to cause a lot more damage. So Fl4me has 3 fishing ships out right now, and Marcel is just getting his first 2 out here. So he's going to cause a little bit of damage to the fishing economy, but more importantly, Fl4me is going to damage his opponent's fire ships. Marcel isn't fighting back. He's maybe waiting for some of his fire ships, some more of his fire ships to come in. But while he does that, Fl4me is just bringing more and more fire ships in. And this ship is going to go down despite him repairing it. And we've got 3 versus 1 over here. Now 5 versus 1. There maybe that's investing a little too heavily in your fire ships, but it's going to work out fairly well for Fl4me because we're not seeing any pushback from Marcel. Marcel has already lost water. Oh, maybe not. Maybe okay. I didn't see the extra ships in the docks, but it's not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough. We're seeing a demo raft coming now from Marcel, which is going to be good, and we're seeing just this hunter-killer fire galley out here that's going to try to take out some of Marcel's fishing ships. And now at this point, we're seeing a back dock from Marcel. He's going to be a little bit more cautious, but if he lets Fl4me have this water in between, that's not going to go well for Marcel. That is not going to go well for Marcel at all. We are seeing, again, we're seeing some demo rafts. We're seeing some, yep, there was a demo raft. We're going to see some more fire ships out of Marcel. But honestly, at this point, Fl4me has the continuous production going. I want to see what's in Marcel's docks here. We've got a fire ship, and nothing. Versus 6 fire ships that are already out and destroying them. Now, Fl4me, what he's doing here is really smart. He's spread out his fire ships. He knows that there's a potential for these flags to be demo ships. So he's going to spread his fire ships out to make sure these demo ships do as little as possible when they're made. Marcel is going to try to Marcel is going to build military ships in the back. I would say maybe just start booming your economy a little bit more. Because now, with no farms, we see very little food economy for Marcel. These docks are very likely going to go down despite the demolition rafts and the fire ships. We're seeing a galley here. I don't know if that's a misclick for Fl4me. No, we're seeing multiple galleys here for Fl4me. I can't say that building galleys in Feudal Age is super worth it for Fl4me, and I'd like to see more fishing ships for him, from him as well. We're seeing back docks for the fishing ships. These docks, look at how little fish is around them. They're actually not going to do all of that much. Fl4me is going to get fletching for his galleys. Again, maybe he's doing it to try to protect from the demolition rafts. But again, I don't think it's super necessary. You know, these galleys are just too weak at the moment. Maybe once he gets to Castle Age and can start getting the upgrades on them, that I would say is okay. But no, there's no point. Resistance is futile against this. Marcel has lost water over here. We're gonna see a little bit of military trickling in from this back dock, but we see already at about 20 minutes in, Marcel has lost all of his water. Fl4me needs to focus a little bit on not getting housed, but we've already seen that Fl4me has won water quite decisively in the center, and I would fully expect maybe some transports and some villas to go over and make like a little mini base over on Marcel's island. That would be probably the play to go for, given how much military you have on water. Marcel can absolutely take a break from water now. I mean, he can try to build up his forces in the back, maybe make a couple more docks, but Marcel just doesn't have the food economy to really do anything. We see farms on islands. We're going to see farms on an islands map. So this generally happens once someone has decisively lost water, but I still hate to see it. I really hate to see it. We're going to see the galleys. We're going to see the fire ships coming around the back. This demolition raft will likely die to the galleys. And I really just want to see a transport with some villas coming over from Fl4me. And Marcel needs to figure out a way to bounce his economy back. We're seeing Fl4me go up to Castle Age. This game might not last too long, honestly. Yep. So we're going to probably see that dock. Maybe that dock not destroyed, but he's certainly going to be kicked off berries right here by the galleys. I want to see a transport ship. I really want to see a transport ship. We've got plenty on wood for Fl4me, which is good. We've got a few on gold. That's not bad. I'd like to see more fishing ships. Marcel's fishing ships are few and far between. We've got a couple out there. We've got a couple back here. It's just I would like to see more fishing ships out of both players, really, because although we have some fire ships patrolling the coast out there, there's still plenty of fish back here that Marcel could take. There's still all of these fish out here. A couple of docks on the outside of your islands could go a long way towards your food economy, Marcel. But ultimately, we're going to see palisade wall. Ultimately, I'd like to see. Okay, we are going to see a transport ship, and we're going to see the start of some cavalry armor for Fl4me, which leads me to believe that he's going to go over. He's going to maybe right here or right here, and he's going to send some villagers over, make some stables, and start raiding Marcel's economy. And I don't know any way that Marcel can counter. Marcel has no military. Fl4me has 16 military. I don't know. They're all in ships. We have no military for Marcel, and that doesn't look to be changing. I don't even think Marcel has a barracks yet. He doesn't. Marcel does not have a barracks yet. He's making a market, which he desperately needs, considering he's got very little food economy. But now we've seen the docking villagers. The docking villagers are going to immediately make barracks and probably a stable, given the stuff that we saw. And ultimately, I don't know that there's anything that Marcel can do at this point. He's been completely kicked off water. He's making another dock in the back, but he's lost water, and Fl4me isn't even taking advantage of it. Fl4me has like 5 fishing ships total. 7, 8 maybe. 8 fishing ships, but he is not taking advantage of that. And honestly, he's making war galleys. He's already won water, though. He doesn't really need to... he doesn't particularly need to fight more on water. What he needs to focus is... Okay, we're going to see 4 stable production on Marcel's island. And I just don't know that there's a way for Marcel to, to clean that up. Especially if we can get this production up quickly. We've got plenty of food for Fl4me. Fl4me could just honestly start spamming scouts. He doesn't even need to make knights. But he does need to start collecting more gold. This gold is his main gold is hiding a little bit behind some trees. Maybe he doesn't have small trees mod, but he needs to really ramp up his gold production. Unless he plans to go straight up scouts in feudal age, he really needs to start producing military before Marcel gets to castle age. All right, now we're starting to see some knights, but they're just out of one staple. We're gonna see husbandry too. Again, not necessarily something that I would personally do, but we still don't see any military buildings from Marcel. There's no military buildings from Marcel. He doesn't even have a dock left after the fishing ships took out the fire ships took out his back dock. So I don't know how he expects to defend himself. Does Marcel see that he's been docked? Marcel has to see that he's been docked. Marcel does not see that he's been docked. He knows he's being hit from all sides. But he doesn't know that he's been landed, and that his opponent has many knights coming from the left-hand side. He's making a castle, but even that castle might be denied. Oh, this isn't gonna be good when Fl4me unleashes. Look at that score difference too. I mean, I think we know how this is gonna end at this point, unless Fl4me throws again. We're now seeing a dock on Marcel's island as well. And Fl4me is just producing knights. I don't know if he's waiting for his upgrades to come in. He probably is, but he's got 4 stable knight production on Marcel's island, and already he has 8 or 9 knights. Marcel is completely unaware any of this is happening. Marcel is just trying to boom as much as he can on land, but he's still only on 1 TC. He hasn't even gone to 2 TC boom. He could make a TC maybe here and another TC up here. But he's just, I think he might be tilted at this point. Marcel's going to try to go to Imperial Age, but why? Why are you going to Imperial Age, Marcel? Maybe to get Faitorias? Maybe you're trying to go for Faitorias? But now here come the Knights, and all of that 1,000 food and 800 gold that you could have used on military are all wrapped up in your production of your Imperial Age, which doesn't give you any bonuses because you have no military. You have nothing. You have no military. Your villagers are about to get slaughtered by knights. And these knights are going to be enough to stop your... This is GG. If this is anything other than GG, I will shit my pants. Yep. So we see the GG. And we're going to return to the map real quick. So, biggest thing here was Fl4me absolutely dominated water. Fl4me dominated the water, and although he didn't put as much use to it as I would have liked, he still only had a few fishing ships. Fl4me, you could have been booming this entire time. I would have wanted you to have like 40 or so fishing ships, because then you wouldn't have needed like any kind of... you didn't do bad, but like you could have done so much better with the food economy and just endlessly streamed knights from here. You did a good job landing, but Fl4me dominated the water, and then Marcel, instead of attempting to either come back on water by backdocking several times and just producing fire ships, instead of maybe trying to get a sneaky landing on Fl4me, you know, if you had landed maybe over here and just gotten some scouts or gotten some archers or gotten something over here, Fl4me would have been just as defenseless as you are. He had no land military either on his island. So if you're losing, if you've lost water, and very decisively lost water at that, really your only recourse at that point is to try to land your opponent and deal as much damage to their economy as possible. That's really your only recourse left. And unfortunately, we just didn't see it coming from the Portuguese player. And I think his attempt was something along the lines of he was going to try to go fast imp and maybe grab some Faitorias. But unfortunately, Faitorias are not the best idea. Going fast imp in an islands game you might think that it's the way to go, but it's just not. It's just not the way you want it to go. Uh, Maybe Feitoria is later on in the game when all of your resources are expended, but he had so many resources that he could have expended. He could have gone 3 TC or maybe even 4 TC boom and got his villager numbers up there. He could have tried to come back on water, but unfortunately we just didn't see that from Marcel, which is a shame because we've been following Marcel for some time now. Uh, and this story kind of tells it all. The military, the economy was absolutely destructive, uh, and the total score tells you exactly what you need to know. Flame just hit Castle Age faster because he had more fishing ships. Obviously, food collected was huge. Wood collected was huge. That comes from his villager count. Uh, Look at that, 66 plus his fishing ships. I mean, there's only so much you can do against this kind of. I mean, that was a little bit of a brutal win for Marcel. Uh, so that is it, ladies and gents. Uh, for right now, I have to go do some D&D stuff. But feel free to follow if you like the content. Uh, tell your friends, tell your husbands, tell your wives. Uh, and I may be back on later to cast some of my games from yesterday in the 2v2 tournament. But we'll see how I'm feeling around like 8 p.m. Eastern time tonight. So have a good day, everyone, and I will see you all later.